Hey, check out these nudes.
Oh my god, yeah, those nudes are super hot.
What the heck? That's disgusting, guys.
It's ramen, Courtney.
This is a hot dog is a sandwich.
Ketchup is a smoothie.
Yeah, I put ice in my cereal, so what?
That makes no sense.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
What? Welcome to our podcast, A Hot Dog is a Sandwich, the show where we take on the world's biggest internet debates. I'm your host, Josh Scher.
And I'm your host, Nicole.
And today we are joined by Smosh cast member, but that doesn't define her entirely. No, she's defined by her love of ramen. We are joined by friend of the show, Courtney freaking Miller. Welcome.
Hello.
Studio audience clap.
Everybody clap.
Everybody in the studio audience
That's
clap.
right, Maggie. Very good.
Thanks so much.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to talk about my favorite thing.
Woohoo!
Of course, but first we have to talk about something that's been bothering me.
What's bothering
And
you?
nobody seems brave enough to answer this question. But what is a smosh? I've been meaning to ask for so long, and I have no idea.
What is a smosh?
What the hell is smosh?
I can tell you it.
Yeah.
tell
Do you
us
want to
one.
know the story behind the name?
Yeah, tell us.
It was Ian and Anthony and their friends were talking about at a concert, there was a mosh pit, but their friend didn't, he messed it up and kept calling it a smosh pit. And Ian and Anthony thought it was so funny. It was like their inside joke. They go, smosh pit, smosh, smosh. And then they decided to name their website Smosh because of a little oopsie doopsie joke.
That's so interesting. I could have guessed a million different things. I would have never guessed mosh pit being pronounced incorrectly.
I feel like so many companies spend so many millions of dollars on like marketing R&D research to come up with names and logos and all that. And then you hear the actual stories behind things and it's like a stupid inside joke. Like
right.
Phil Knight didn't want to call Nike Nike. He wanted to call it Dimension 6. And everybody was like, that's the dumbest name ever. And he's like, no, Dimension 6 is the name. And then they had a filing deadline coming up and he was like, screw it, Nike. And he paid an art student $2 an hour from Portland State to just like draw something that
Brilliant.
quote conveyed motion. And it was a swoosh. And he was like, that's dumb, whatever. Put it out to market. And now they exploit billions of child workers.
With a B.
Speaking of which, Courtney, we're talking about
That's right, everybody.
we're talking about ramen versus pho. Now, this is a controversial topic. We didn't want to do this for a long time.
That's true.
Because there's no
Wow.
point in pitting two noodle queens against each other,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
However, we do live in a society, Nicole. And this Nicole's like up until the last
I
one was like,
live
we
in
shouldn't
a
do this.
society?
We live in a society, and I'm saying
society.
I'm saying, okay, this is a common choice that I personally am often forced to make when I want a bowl of hearty, delicious noodle soup, ramen and pho being two of the most popular and most delicious. So I'm saying this is a real problem rooted in practicality. Courtney, what's your answer?
I agree. No, I mean, I think they're both great.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think, but I personally, sorry, can you rephrase the question? That was like a lot of words.
Do you like ramen or pho more?
like you're in a court deposition right now.
No, I will say I love ramen more. But I have my personal reasons. I can't say one culture of food is better than the other.
Yeah.
You are the pho queen.
I love pho so much.
And I want to say pho king. Because it sounds like a swear word. Haha. I understand why it's great, but I love ramen so much more, and I make it for myself. I tried making ramen broth for the first time.
No way.
myself the other
Congratulations.
day.
Wait, what kind of
was
ramen
it?
broth?
So I literally just used whatever was in the fridge. We had a carton of like what was left of some chicken bone broth.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Put in a little bit of water, boiled that, put the chicken bone broth in, put in soy sauce, gochujang, Korean chili flakes, onion powder, garlic salt, and then just like kept stirring it, and then butter.
Yum.
And
Nice.
then I didn't have any vegetables, so it was literally that and noodles. And then I had some like ground Korean turkey that we made. So I like just threw all that together. So it was kind of like
A very
turkey chashu ramen.
traditional recipe.
Very cursed, because I know in ramen they don't typically even do chicken broth in traditional ramen, right?
Well, so actually, ramen is like a huge, wide breadth of
Correct.
foods. So a lot of the ramen that we probably think of in America is like tonkotsu ramen, right? So you're thinking of like the really like thick, rich pork broth made from simmered pork bones for like hours and hours. But if you actually go to Japan, and also a lot of restaurants in LA, we have a huge Japanese population in Torrance. And I know that
We
because
do.
of watching. Have you ever watched Terrace House?
no, I don't think I have.
Do you know about it?
Josh
think
loves
I've heard of
Terrace
it.
House.
It's the greatest show of all time. It's like The Real World, but the Japanese version. And so in very like kind of
cool.
Japanese entertainment fashion, they have like very slow brewing romances. And there's not a lot of drama. Like people, I mean, they've had their incidents. There was the Wagyu beef stealing incident. Oh my God, crazy. But there was this one romance that was brewing over the course of like 36 episodes. They finally held hands.
36
They finally
episodes?
they finally held hands. And I was like, yes, Shion, you did it. You held her hand.
God.
Yeah, but point is, in one episode, they were all like, have you been to America? And they were like, yes. And they were like, where in America? And they were all just like, Torrance. And they're like, oh, I've been to Torrance. I've been to Torrance. So you go to like,
How cute.
Torrance is the biggest Japanese population in Los Angeles.
Adorable.
Wow.
You know, not Sawtelle Japantown or Little Tokyo. So you go there and you can find all the different styles of ramen. And so like my favorite ramen is actually a chicken-based ramen.
Me too.
Python?
Tori Paitan.
Tori Paitan.
Tori Paitan
Right.
ramen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, most of my like teen years, all the way until my early 20s, I only knew of like cup noodles.
Yeah, that's
And
most
same,
of us, I'm sure. Yeah.
same.
And then some people from Smosh Games one day took me to Jinya, which is like a
Yeah.
ramen
Love
chain. I think it's a
Jinya.
great like lily pad into like ramen culture and like ramen cuisine. I had spicy chicken ramen for the first time and it blew my mind. Yeah.
Jinya does really good work. Jinya is... Are they owned by like one of the bigger Japanese restaurant groups?
I don't know, but I know Robota Jinya is like the sushi version of Jinya Ramen Bar. And
Yeah,
that's really
yeah.
good.
It is really good.
But they'll do a bunch of like fun, weird, inventive stuff. Like they'll do like they have a truffle ramen, they have a lobster ramen.
yeah,
they
really
They
do
have like a
lot of stuff that.
cilantro lime ramen now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
so good.
I know. It's like they're teetering onto the pho world at
Yeah,
that point
so
too.
good.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about this is we tend to think of a lot of non-American foods as having these like hundreds-year-old traditions, right? Like,
Yeah.
We think when you say like ramen is not traditionally prepared with X, what is traditional in ramen is constantly changing because the dish like isn't even 100 years old. Like there's kind of
That's
this idea.
wild.
It is wild, right? So like noodles have been around in Japan for over 1,000 years, right? They estimate roughly since like 800 AD. There were a lot of Chinese dynasties that were sort of like ruling over all these things that we think of as sovereign nations today. So like Vietnam, which we'll talk about later, was also ruled by Chinese dynasties for a long time. So a lot of the noodle making technology was sort of exported there. And then for a long time, the two most popular noodles in Japan were udon and soba. Which, if we're talking about favorite noodles in the world, zaru soba, chilled soba with the dipping sauce, is maybe my favorite.
Okay.
Chewy buckwheat noodles, but neither here nor there. So ramen, they think, came back. So men literally comes from the Chinese mian, which means noodle, or like wheat-based noodle.
Correct.
And so ramen is a wheat-based noodle that came, people think, from like the Second Sino-Japanese War. So basically, like, soldiers from Japan were in China, were eating a bunch of wheat-based noodle soups, and then they brought that back to Japan, and then the first sort of iterations of ramen were created, and then it wasn't really made like popular until post-World War II, which, Josh talking about World War II again.
Welcome to the podcast.
But also part of it came from instant noodles because there were a bunch of food shortages because World War II was just brutal to the entire world and especially Japan. And so the Japanese government was trying to get people to eat American wheat bread. And Momofuku Ando, who is generally credited for inventing instant ramen, was like, well, why not try and feed the Japanese population on noodles because we're a lot more familiar with that than bread. And the government was like, we don't have the capability to produce that many noodles. And he was like, let me figure it out. And so that's when he invented the flash frying and cooking and dehydrating process to create instant ramen.
Which is like the coolest thing ever.
It is the coolest.
Incredible,
and
yeah.
And it's still my favorite form of noodle is like the fried noodle.
Brick.
Like there are some grocery stores that I found will have like, because I like making my own ramen all the time, and I don't like having to like waste a pack or like all the plastic that comes with like a full on package. So getting a container of like a bunch of noodles, and it's hard to find just like the fried like brick of noodles, but I love it.
Yeah. No, some places will do the fresh ramen noodles. And like
I love fresh ramen noodles.
I do
They are
too.
good.
I prefer them to the flash fried.
It's healthier,
ones. I
too.
do. Aside from, I just think they taste so much better and they make for a better ramen experience.
Yeah.
Personally.
Ramen noodles do have like ramen. I absolutely love ramen. My official answer here is pho because and again, this is purely based on personal tastes.
It is.
Yes.
It is based purely on personal.
And pho is another dish that like a lot of the influences have come from Vietnamese Americans and then passed back to Vietnam. So like
That's so
jalapenos are a really interesting thing in pho, right? I'm getting derailed. I want to talk about ramen.
Yeah, talk about ramen, Josh.
We'll get back to jalapenos.
Nerd out about ramen.
I love ramen like everybody else. I grew up eating instant ramen because it literally cost 10 cents a pack when it was on sale at the grocery store. It was literally 10 for $1. And so I grew up eating that. And like the weird flavors that you can only find at the 99 cents. So
Chili
we're
lime.
talking not even that, really like creamy Alfredo, jalapeno cheddar ramen that they had in cup noodles.
It gets free. Tapatio makes ramen now. Isn't that freaking weird?
Well, ramen has literally traveled the world because of instant noodles. You know
So
what I
rad.
mean? But the first time I had a bowl of like proper Japanese ramen, I think when I was probably in my teens, and I went with, a friend's family who was Japanese up to LA, that was like a really life-changing experience. Where I was like, holy crap, this is what that dish can actually be. Like, it was a bowl of tonkotsu ramen with chashu pork and just like the fattiness, the richness of that broth, all of the pork bones cooked down for hours and hours and hours, the scallions, the fish cake, the seaweed on it, like flavors that I never experienced before. That was like a really eye-opening moment.
Sure.
And like the production of ramen, like making like a tare, right?
Yeah.
Which is like you make
Is that the essence oil?
Yeah, you basically make like an essence oil or like a really like thick concentrated like, sauce base, and you add the broth to that in the bowl. Like that's really freaking fantastic. But I think for me, I ramen myself out.
Wow.
I ramen myself out because there's so many places. There's so many places in LA, especially popping up, that were all serving sort of the same bowl of tonkotsu ramen.
Yeah.
Fair.
And they were just like, how thick and fatty and porky can we make this broth? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like this arms race.
I think the thickest, fattiest, porkiest one I've had is Sujita Annex.
Sujita Annex,
which
yeah.
is
Have you been to Sujita?
the best.
No.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
man.
we need to
Oh
go.
my God,
after
Court.
Please
this.
take me.
Yes.
Wine and dine me, please. Ryan.
Yo, it's like I
We're gonna drink buzz balls in the alley behind it, so like the whining won't be like the most elegant,
No,
but
that
we
is
can
fine.
dine
but
for
the
sure.
dining will be the wine, not so much. There was we made a list of 100 best foods you need to try before you die, and one of the items on my half of the list was this ramen. It's so porky and delicious. It's almost like you're drinking Parmesan cheese broth. That's how intense it is. And then it has this beautiful pile of bean sprouts, which I normally don't get. I don't like bean sprouts, but they like blanch the bean sprouts, and then they put a bunch of green onions, and then this beautiful pork, and then an egg, and then your eyes just close. You drink the soup, and it's the most. Also, I'm team fun. Do you hear I'm talking about ramen? It's one of the most delicious food. Like that is like top tier ramen in my mind. When I think of ramen, that's what I think of, and I think it's brilliantly done over there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
sorry,
sorry,
I
guys,
just had to-
please.
Ramen,
yes.
like-
I just had to talk about.
Not to be the creepy guy, but like ramen's a very sensual food. You have
I
the
think,
jiggly egg, the fatty
the
pork.
sounds you make when you're
yeah.
eating it.
I think it's sexiest whenever
Sus.
you have the sukumen, which is the dipping ramen, right? Is that sukumen is
Oh,
dipping?
yeah.
I think that's really being entangled with your food in a very unique, specific way.
Yeah.
Because when do you ever pick up noodles, put them in a sauce, take everything, put it on there, and then just slurp it up, and then do it again and again and again until you're insane?
I feel like that's kind of like Korean cuisine though. Like there's all the little things, the fixins that
Yeah.
you grab and put together, and
Yeah.
you eat it the way you want it.
Korean
So,
ramen.
Korean
Freaking awesome.
ramen.
Yeah, ramen.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's this place in I think Long Beach called Sura,
Okay.
which is a Korean restaurant that has they call it the Hangover Ramen.
Yes.
And it's like legit broth and everything, but it's using like a packet of the brick fried noodles. It's so funny.
Yes.
But yeah, Korean ramen slaps.
It's funny, ramen has for a long time, and there's been one specific ramen shop. It's called Sentuka, and it's in the Mitsuo Market in West LA.
Oh, that's some good stuff.
That is so you get the spicy
Cash
miso
only.
ramen.
Cash only.
only, baby. Do not show up there without cash.
No,
and
no.
sometimes there's just a line to get into a grocery store on the weekends.
Wow. So wild.
Yeah, which is fun. But that's been my like long time hangover cure, which is interesting because
Fair.
when I get sick, I had strep throat recently, and I was begging for pho.
I was sick
Yeah?
on Saturday, you guys. I literally had the worst tummy ache. I was like crawling to the bathroom. That's how sick I was. And the only thing that made me feel even remotely alive, pho.
Pho
It
is
was the
life bringing.
only thing on planet Earth that made me go from a fetal position into sitting in a chair normally.
That's what I will say too, because I love ramen because I love being attacked with flavor and
Yeah.
texture and all the things that I put in it. But if I'm not feeling like well, pho is what I get because it is like I feel like it's a more pure and like healthier. Like, but the same thing of like the noodles, the meats, the broth. But it like I'm like, oh no, this is like when my mom would make me Campbell's chicken noodle
Yeah.
soup to feel better. Like pho is like the better version of that.
Sure.
Wait, I think we found like a little dichotomy here. Like ramen, you're being attacked, which is something that I generally love in food. But I think this is not a dig to Courtney. I'm not even look her in the eye when I'm saying this. But like I think as you mature, as your palate matures,
Yeah.
you start to appreciate subtlety in food more. And Courtney is just like a troglodyte idiot over here. You're like,
you're
give
so
me
mean.
flavor. Nom,
No,
nom.
no.
Baby.
I think ramen attacks you. I think pho coddles you and nurtures you. and
Correct.
makes
Pho dances with you.
I love pho. So it's so herbaceous, you know? It's pure, it's fresh herbs that, ripped by hand. You slap the Thai basil, you throw it in there, you throw in some jalapeno coins, you taste the broth, and you're like, okay, everything is fine. There's something really calming about crushing a bowl of pho, but whenever you finish a bowl of ramen, you just want to kind of put your shirt over your head and be like, okay, I'm done now. You know what I mean? Like when David Chang used to crush bowls of, I don't know if you saw, like I think it was on Mind of a Chef. He would just go through and eat bowls of ramen like his life depended on it, and afterwards he would just be like hanging on the side like this. That doesn't happen whenever you have pho. When you finish a full bowl, you're like, okay, I can like complete anything I set my mind to. With ramen, day's done.
Pho is restorative.
Yes,
It's enlivening.
pho is it's like matzo ball soup. It's like matzo ball soup.
Also,
for me.
pho is traditionally a breakfast food.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And also on hot days, people eat pho for breakfast because it actually cools you down.
Interesting.
And also since it's not so fatty, so pho is like have you made pho from
I've
scratch
never
before?
tried to
Never.
make pho before.
Me either.
You've never made it from scratch before?
No, I don't need to. I feel like we're so blessed to live in LA.
Yeah.
Yes.
That the way that these broths are created and manipulated into such beautiful flavors, I want to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I will in a few years whenever I feel like it. But it's done so well. I'm like, let the experts handle it, man. They got it on lock.
Yeah.
Dude, I've made ramen broth from scratch before. I did a Tori Paitan ramen. So Tori Paitan is where you take bird bones. Tori means bird, or like yakitori, chicken, etc. And so you take bird bones, chicken namely, and you like simmer them for 24 hours sometimes, and then you'll actually blend the bones to extract all the marrow.
Whoa.
And then you just strain it through a fine mesh sieve, and so it's just like this milky, incredible, rich chicken broth, which is a labor in its own effort. Making pho broth is so freaking difficult because it requires meticulous skimming. So basically, like, pho is another one of those things that post World War II developed all these different, because Vietnam was going through its partition after World War II, right? Communist North, capitalist South.
Yeah.
We all roughly know the history. And so there's a partition in, I think, like 1954. And so pho was mainly something that was made in Hanoi. And it started in like roughly the late 19th century. Had a lot
Hanoi
to
the
do.
north?
Hanoi's the north. Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City is like the south.
Got
Those
it,
are the
okay.
two sort of cultural nexuses in the biggest cities in
got it,
Vietnam.
got it.
And then you have like Hue, which is the royal province where the soup bún bò Hue comes from, which is
Bomb.
man, BBH. You got a BBH? BBLs are out. BBH
We
is
gotta
in.
take you to get some BBH too.
What is BBH?
Bò bún Hue. It's
So, yeah.
delicious. You can talk about
Bún
it.
bò. So okay, well let's go back to pho. How
Okay,
pho was
okay,
made real
sorry,
quick. So pho beef was never really big in Vietnam until the French occupation. So there was a lot of just they were eating a lot of like water buffalo and stuff like that. And a lot of people think that pho actually comes from. No, this can't be true.
French influence?
Well, they think the beef at least came from French influence. But some
Interesting.
people, the French dish pot-au-feu.
Never heard of it.
Potaufeu.
Oh yeah, okay.
They think
yes,
pho
yes,
may
yes.
come from that. I read that one place that doesn't actually make any damn sense to me.
Okay.
But anyways, so
Josh just fact checked himself in real time.
That was
welcome to the
awesome.
ADHD brain, baby.
That
It
was
doesn't
awesome.
shut off. It's like a
That was
NASCAR
awesome.
track up there.
Self-preservation.
Yeah, wow.
And so there was a lot more beef, and so then they sort of created these like really rich beef stocks with all the bones that were left over. And so pho is made almost exclusively with like bones as opposed to meat, right? Which a lot of
Which I love.
broths are same.
Healthier, I'm sure.
Yeah. I love.
But there were so many different spices and herbs in Vietnamese cuisine, and a lot of that really came into pho after partition when they went from Hanoi in the north, where pho was more popular. And if you to this day, if you go to a northern Vietnamese restaurant, which there's a lot in like Alhambra, Arcadia
thicker
area.
noodles, right?
Well, so they'll use thicker noodles, and it'll be more sparse toppings, and it'll be like a plainer flavored broth. Because it wasn't until they got to the South, which was more of like a trading port, right? And that was
Interesting.
open to more of the world.
Sure.
That they started adding hoisin to it, which is Chinese, right? Started adding a bunch of different chili sauces to it, all this. And so for me, like, pho is this incredible just dance of all the aromatics. You have to char your ginger, your onions to get that sort of burnt
Yeah.
flavor. You have
There's
to
rock
meticulously
candy.
skim it. There's rock sugar in it.
Yeah, there's rock sugar in it.
Wow.
You know,
So
to
random.
add like that little bit of sweetness to the broth. And then there's all these spices in it that you don't taste unless you have like a really good pho broth.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you go to some places that are just trying to spit out gallons and gallons of pho and make their money, a lot of their food just sort of tastes like, they'll use MSG, which again is perfectly safe and fine. But sometimes you'll be like, I know y'all did this to stretch out the bones, right? Like I want more actual beef flavor.
There's
but like the cardamom, the star anise.
Star anise is like the big one
anise.
that you taste. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm like absolutely mind blown. I didn't I thought, because like the way pho comes across to me, it feels just so simple and fresh and just like 3 ingredients almost.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Which
So
makes
that's
sense
so
because
crazy
it's like a very clear broth that makes you just kind of think of like if you grew up eating something like a Campbell's beef, soup, something like that. But that's why I'm saying like pho, once you really dive in and you understand the intricacies of it, once your like palate has been trained, and you don't have to be like a huge foodie a-hole like Nicole and I did, but next time you take a sip of pho broth, like
before you put stuff in it.
Before you put stuff in it.
This is a big thing. Before you put anything in your pho broth, taste it, notice it, and then add stuff. Don't just go willy-nilly because each shop's pho broth is going to be dramatically different from the next.
Wow.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But like really like inhabit your own mouth. Like put all of your consciousness into your palate.
Ruin
and like
your own mouth.
try and think of the spices. Try and think of like the burn on that onion. Try and think of the, that's why I freaking love pho so much.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm a texture girly when it comes to food. So, and when it comes to sandwiches and a lot of other foods, I love it when it's crisp and like fresh. So I do appreciate pho when it's like the, what's it called? The little
tendon?
No, like they're like, they put it in ramen, the bean sprouts.
Okay.
How did I lose that in my head?
Okay, I got you.
It's like the bean sprouts and the chicken and like the Thai basil, like the crunch of it all is like so satisfying.
So satisfying.
So I can totally appreciate that. But what I love about ramen is like a lot of restaurants offer like such a crazy array of like toppings to like customize.
Yeah.
Corn.
Eggs.
Corn is my favorite thing to put in ramen, and fresh garlic. I love people who do like the black garlic oil or the things. I personally am like nothing hits like fresh minced garlic.
You're so
just
right.
Plopped in there. But yeah, I would say I think texture wise and stuff like pho makes me way more satisfied. And now knowing the work that goes into it, I'm like, holy crap! Wow.
100%.
What's your pho order? Like, what's your favorite pho to get?
I just love a classic chicken.
Your chicken?
Yeah.
I love chicken.
Pho ga.
I always steal people's extra Thai basil. I'm obsessed with Thai basil.
Same.
And then lots of lime. I never really used the plum sauce. Really,
The hoisin sauce.
Yeah, the hoisin.
sauce.
Good,
I would
good.
just do this. Like I like spicy. I'm not a sriracha fan, but I'll deal with it. But that's my wanting to be attacked with flavor side.
No, fair. And I think pho gives you that opportunity to be attacked if you want to be attacked.
Yeah.
Because they'll give you the jalapenos on the side.
Yeah,
They'll give
lots
you
of
all the
jalapenos.
herbs. My favorite thing is if you go to a Vietnamese restaurant and they give you an herb that you have never heard of. That you've never seen. You're just like, what the hell is this? Like there's one like a Rau Ram is what it's called. I have a guide to Vietnamese, or I have a hand-painted guide to Vietnamese herbs in my kitchen because I'm that guy. But the single best bowl of my favorite bowl of Vietnamese soup I've ever had. Damn it, I'm not gonna be able to remember the name of the restaurant.
That's
It is
okay.
in it is in Oklahoma City, and there's
I wouldn't have known it.
I know. Well, it's in an old Long John Silver's that you could tell was dilapidated in the 80s. But they had all these herbs that I had never seen of. They'll call it like fish mint is one, and there's not a lot of English translations for some of them. But it turns out his parents just started growing them in their garden out back because they were like, we can't find them here, and so
exciting.
we got a bowl of bún riu, which is like a crab soup, and we got a bowl of bún bò huế, which is like bún bò huế is like pho, except it is incredibly spicy, and the noodles are a little bit thinner, and there's cubes of pork blood generally, and like whole like beef like bones.
It's great.
And it is absolutely
I'm sure
fantastic.
it
It
is.
is restorative. But like there's a lot of, my point is when ramen in America, there are so many enterprising chefs. David Chang is a person who really did help popularize ramen in fancy establishments and make it very sort of customizable. Another one is Jewish guy. Come on.
I don't know all the Jews.
You
Jewish
talked
guy.
about the guy. I feel like you talked about that guy.
Ivan Orkin.
Who's like he was not ever going to be a ramen person. Like he was a chef and then just decided to pursue ramen and actually like change the ramen game.
Yeah,
You
and
told me
he
about
did it a
him.
lot like as like a white dude in
Who
Japan.
are you
Ivan
talking
Orkin
about?
of Ivan Ramen.
I know this guy. I know.
He did
this
a
guy.
Chef's Table episode.
I don't know who that is.
And then plenty of enterprising Japanese chefs in America who have made it possible to do corn and ramen. I remember the first time I had that was actually in Austin, Texas.
That's Steve Martin. Just kidding.
What a cutie.
Yeah, was it his wife who was like, just do it?
Yeah, I think did somebody
love supportive
pass
partners,
away?
don't we?
I don't remember Ivan's story that much, which is sad. But like there are a lot of people who have very deliberately changed the ramen game and made it very inventive and made it very fun. So
Yeah.
you can get all the black garlic oils on it.
Yeah.
In a way that I think it's because Americans for a long time, and this is going to get deep and annoying, but the model minority myth, right? We went through this period of like Japanophilia in America in the
Okay.
1980s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where we were like, and still now with anime and all that stuff, but in I think the 1980s especially, it was like the Japanese are so good at doing business and manufacturing and their cars and their electronics. Or, that was
I was obsessed with robots because of Japan and stuff. Like, yeah.
And so I think like sushi, the reason Americans will pay so much for sushi is because of that sort of myth, right? The reason the reason
America
that
was
Korean,
one big weeb for a while.
no, like actually,
Yeah.
and the reason that Korean people had to open sushi restaurants in Los Angeles because people weren't eating Korean food, I think was trying to pass off this like, sort of myth of Japanese food as being like, oh, it's so noble and pure. And so I think people being able to sell more expensive bowls of ramen, because now people pay $19-20 for a bowl of ramen, no problem.
I paid $20 for pho the other day.
Where?
Forage.
Forage is one of the few new school pho spots.
But it's
Think
so
about
good,
it.
I don't care.
So pho,
Yeah.
Chef Perry Chung. So this is my single favorite bowl of pho in LA. He makes an oxtail broth pho.
That was my favorite from Forage is the oxtail pho, but everywhere else I always get the beef special because I don't know what the heck they're going to put in there, but I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Dak Biet. Anytime you see Dak Biet on a menu,
Always
it means
order
like
it.
how special.
Wow.
Always order it.
There'll be
Other than
tendon,
at Forage.
tripe, meatballs.
Forage's oxtail pho is unlike any other bowl of pho I've ever had, and I love it so much.
Same. It's my favorite.
Wow.
It's like my favorite bowl of pho in Los Angeles. But he's sort of one of the few people. I mean, not that he uses Mary's chicken. He uses he names the farm on his beef, stuff like that.
Yes, he does.
And so he's one of the few people that is really charging that much money for a bowl of pho. And to me, it is absolutely worth it.
It is so dang worth it.
Wow.
100%.
No, yeah. When food brings you joy like that,
Doesn't matter.
any price.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Worth it to me. Yeah, I think when I really got my relationship closer with ramen was in the pandemic. When
You sound like a church testimonial right now.
When I found ramen, I literally bought a bulk of the Korean fiery ramen, like
Yes.
the one that like all
bulldog?
these
Bulldog?
mukbang, bulldog sauce, yeah, and like all those YouTubers who would make an entire giant pot and just down it, like the sexual tension between me dropping comedy and just doing that for a living, workout. Ramen mukbang, sleep. That would be my life. But I would eat that all the time. And my spice tolerance got like, it used to be really bad where I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and have the
Grumbles?
time,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
experience,
yeah.
the bathroom trip.
Sure.
But then I got to the point where like I kept making it and adding things and making it my own. You saw my TikTok and you said my noodles were overcooked. It's fine.
What a
I
bully.
just said that to you?
Yeah, you were like, it was great. I was like, you can be honest. You're like, yeah, no, your noodles were overcooked.
Okay, yeah. If
You
somebody
want-
asks for the
yeah,
constructive criticism,
I'm not going to ask Josh's food opinion and want the fake answer.
Fair
That's
enough.
right.
I just want to
But-
make sure that I didn't come off immediately abrasive
Yeah.
because I do that sometimes.
No, it's all right. No, it's me. And I got to the point where I didn't even have the tummy rumblies. I was a strong
Look at you.
ramen woman.
Growth. I love it.
Your body adapted.
But that fiery, nothing compares to the bulldog sauce. Bulldog?
it's killer.
Bulldog ramen?
I think it's
Is
bulldog
that-
ramen, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Killer.
Like Shin Ramyun Black was the one that I grew up. That was the premium instant ramen experience that I grew up with.
I just like want to feel something.
I grew up with
feel that.
kosher cup
I
of
feel that.
noodles with the peas. There was like 3 peas in it.
Oh,
Maybe three. That was my stuff right there.
Oh my god.
What are other Asian noodle soups that have your attention? Like I'm thinking one for Courtney that is one of my favorite things of all time is called Ten Ten Men. Have you been to it's a spot
Ten
called
Ten Men?
Killer Noodle? So dandan Mian, dandan noodles.
Dan. Yeah.
Ten Ten Men is
I
a
can't-
Japanese.
I've tried Dan and I can't get super into it.
Oh,
but you know what
man.
I have is a newer discovery that I am absolutely obsessed with is shabu.
Shabu.
Shabu shabu.
Yes.
Good.
That's where it hits.
Try sukiyaki, which is shabu shabu, but with like a really intensely flavored broth. It'll change the
Perfect.
game for
Attack
you.
me.
Yeah. That's really good stuff.
I don't know. I just love Heidi Lao, like Chinese hot pot. They're from Sichuan.
Fair.
I think they're from Sichuan or they're from Shanghai. I can't remember. But I love Chinese hot pot. But like other noodle soups.
One that I make at home a lot, I make a beef udon soup because I cook a lot of beef and then I section off the beef into plastic, little containers, and then I heat up the beef and then I cook my noodles and then I put in broth and it's so damn good.
Hell yeah.
My beef udon soup is quite delicious.
Udon noodles are just, they've always been too big, too chewy, a little bit for my personal taste.
I love it. I love how thick it is.
Yeah, zaru soba is probably my favorite noodle of all time. But another one, a Korean soup, kalguksu.
Oh my gosh!
So they're
where the broth is like milky,
and it's a clam-based broth.
Oh my god!
So it's like a clam and pork-based broth, and clams are like my favorite animal to eat. I just love clams. I'm a big clam guy. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a clam broth and these like thick knife-cut noodles, and it's just one of my favorite things of all time. But
well, what did we learn today?
Yeah, do we have to come to a consensus?
Do we have to?
Yeah, pho wins, right?
Yeah.
No, there's no consensus on the podcast ever. We just use this as an excuse to talk about the things we love, and it's kind of beautiful.
I personally will gravitate towards pho. I love pho the most, but I will eat ramen as much as I can.
Yeah.
So,
but to that point, I feel guilty after eating too much ramen.
My body doesn't like it.
Yeah, but I feel like when I eat a bunch, like the physical feeling, yes, but also emotionally, if I'm eating a bunch of pho, I'm like, this is good for me. I feel like I'm healing my body every time I have some. So I can recede my ramen passion and agree that pho is probably the superior soup.
Cambodian Hutu is the greatest noodle soup. No, actually it's really good. But no, there's just such a wide variety of noodle soups that come from East Asia that people should be trying to enjoy as much as possible. We didn't even talk about Thai duck noodle soup, right?
Shame on us.
Shame on
us.
For shame.
Talk about ban
Khao
kan, khao soy. There's just so many different noodle soups out there.
Yeah.
Taiwanese beef noodle soup with the pickled mustard greens.
I only know about the history of the noodle because one time at a Mythical work event, someone on the Mythical team was like, "Hey, go ask Josh if noodles are Italian." And I was like, "What?" Okay. And they all like gathered and like watched me go up to you and get stuck in a half an hour lecture, but good lecture, like college lecture on the history of the noodle. And I was like, whoa. I was like, oh my God. Okay. I see why they told me. And now I think I've told people to go and ask you before, but
that's me once a week.
Wait, I think I remember that. That was like early days.
Years ago. I think it was 2019.
And you didn't run and you're here
now.
No,
I love it. I love food. It gives me so much joy. And I've felt a lot of joy being here today.
Oh, thanks for coming.
All right, Nicole and Courtney, you've heard what you and I have to say. Now it's time to find out what other wacky ideas are rattling out there in the universe. It's time for a segment we call Opinions Are Like Casseroles! God, Nicole's all jacked up today. All right,
let's listen to the first one.
Wait, do we have any fact corrections?
Dude, no.
What about all my things about the Meiji Restoration, Maggie? We got nothing on that?
Oh my God.
The Meiji Restoration, it's one of the most fascinating times in history. We don't have to get into it.
Get over it.
Later.
Nerd. Sorry, I had to say at least once.
Hey guys, my name's Adam, and controversial take, but the best breakfast gravy is chocolate gravy.
Yes.
It's something I grew up eating.
Yes.
Breakfast gravy?
It's just a simple butter roux mixed up with a little bit of milk, some flour, Dutch processed cocoa, special dark if you're feeling bougie, and a little bit of sugar just to bring out the sweetness, maybe a pinch of salt.
Yes, sir.
That on top of some buttered biscuits.
Yes, sir.
That's a good time. Also salmon gravy, but that's a different story.
It sounds like he's like running
it's a divisive thing, but
salmon?
Salmon
chocolate gravy is fantastic. If you've never had it, please try it. I strongly recommend it. Thanks, guys. Great podcast. You guys take care. Goodbye.
Breakfast gravy.
I have
I've
one
never
question.
heard of this.
You're not eating gravy for breakfast?
Did they say mother roux?
What? Butter roux.
Butter roux. It wasn't mother roux.
Chocolate gravy. Chocolate gravy is a very unique Southern food that inspired a recipe in the very early days of Mythical Kitchen.
That's right.
We made Oreo biscuits and gravy, which is one of the coolest recipes we've done.
True.
We made like a chocolate biscuit with the special dark processed cocoa. And then we made like this like white chocolate ganache disc in the middle. And then we made like a cookies and cream white chocolate gravy
Good
to go on
times.
top. But
Good
yeah,
times.
chocolate gravy is a thing that more people need to realize. You take the combination of like a roux and milk, and then you can add whatever you want to it. It can be sweet, it can be savory, all that. Courtney, what are your top 3 breakfast gravies?
Oatmeal.
It's a breakfast
Oatmeal's
gravy.
a breakfast
It's a
cereal.
gravy.
Depends how thick and thin you like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done a breakfast gravy in my life. I recently went to London and had like the full English breakfast.
How was it?
I love it. I'm
Yes.
obsessed.
So good.
I like now keep baked beans in
Yes.
our kitchen because I'm like, this is exactly what I need with a breakfast when I want savory, but I just want a little bit of sweetness too.
Sure.
The beans on toast slaps.
There you
Beans
go.
on toast is great. People rip on the British for beans on toast all the time. I love it.
It's
I like
amazing.
beans on toast too.
I love it. Also, the beans are like well seasoned. They're like sweet. They're a little bit spiced.
I like the tomatoes that are always on.
Yes.
The tomatoes are the star in my opinion.
Those also have that sweetness.
They very much remind me of like the tomatoes that you get with cow bob.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Very
where they're
similar.
like not quite roasted down like enough,
Just
but they're just
roasted
like
enough. Yeah,
hot
yeah.
and burnt and a little bit raw.
I love them.
Yeah. There's
them.
this place in Edinburgh called The Larder that has a full English breakfast that is incredible. Like if you've never had haggis or the black pudding,
Oh, yeah.
like you go there and it's so good.
Hell yeah.
So good.
Dude also mentioned salmon gravy, which is the thing I've never heard
Yeah.
of, but I just looked it up.
Random.
Somebody mentioned, yeah, it's just a white cream gravy with canned salmon in it. Which
I don't think I would like that.
I feel like if you did smoked salmon in that, like lox, you chopped up lox, you kind of let it cook, you get that smokiness infused in there. It's like a fishy bacon gravy with the smoke.
Wow.
Maybe.
I'm in.
I am not the biggest like fishy person.
No,
I love sushi and I love fish and chips, but I can't do fish.
so like a
stuff.
fishy fish, like
a fishy.
anchovy, sardine, mackerel, like
That's
that'll
my
get you.
stuff
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, give me
I had
the
love
smoked
all
black
that.
cod. That was incredible, but I can't get really hard into like the fishy energy. That's like
okay.
the fishy.
What's our next opinion, Maggie?
Hey, Josh and Nicole. My name is Brian from Ohio,
Hi, Brian.
and I don't have an opinion, but it's actually a little bit of a plea for help.
Okay.
Oh no.
So my husband
Is he kidnapped?
is allergic to onions.
Are you okay?
no.
So we've been dealing with that. And suddenly my body last year decided that corn is now an enemy.
No.
So now I am slightly allergic to corn and all corn products. So my question is, what do we eat? Love the podcast. Thanks.
Wow. So my ramen recipe's out the window.
I have an answer for the onions.
What?
So asafoetida is a wonderful tree resin used a lot in Indian cooking that is similar to garlic and onion and alumi flavors. So if you want to add a little bit of oniony flavor without any of those allergens, buy a bottle of asafoetida and it will give you the same like bacterial, yummy, alumi taste that onions will give you.
That's awesome.
I don't know about corn though, y'all. I don't know
Corn
anything
and that
about
corn products too. So that means like
Yeah.
corn syrup, corn starch that's in a lot of stuff.
Shoot.
That's tough.
We've made so many strides in technology though, in terms like anything like rice based, right? Like for people who are gluten free and they're like, I can't eat all these things. It's like there are so many cultures that went thousands of years without wheat, right?
That's
without
true.
gluten. Like just get really into rice. Eat a bunch of rice noodles. You know, the world of rice is vast, and rice is the food that feeds more people in the world than anything.
Yeah, but America, so much corn is in everything.
Corn is in
America,
everything. That's
which
really
is really
tough.
hard. So just like be very vigilant about reading labels.
Yeah, because America's corny as hell.
But like there's
workout.
so like what corn notwithstanding the like corn syrup stuff, but like what corn based products
cornflakes.
do you not eat?
That's where my
cornflakes, but
brain-
there's like literally Chex makes like 5 different varieties. They make wheat
lot
Chex,
of
they make rice
juices.
Chex, they make all that. You know what I mean?
Popsicles.
Corn tortillas, flour. Yeah, you just got to get like all cane sugar stuff.
Yeah,
For the
just-
onion thing, I had this onions in a lot of recipes. They're kind of just used to absorb flavor, right? Like they become little flavor pockets. You cook down
Really?
onions,
Okay.
and if you think about it, it's sort of like
But
in
its
a
own
curry,
little
right?
twist on it. It kind of adds like a twang to
Yeah.
all the flavors.
I don't think it absorbs flavors. I think it gives flavors.
It gives
it's
flavor too, but
both.
like if you think about like making like a curry or something, right?
Okay.
A curry paste, right? You blend the onions because the onions give it like body.
Body, sure.
Even like hot sauce, salsa.
Fair.
It's giving flavor, certainly. But there's
Okay.
other stuff like, but if you look at other cultures, so like in Peru, right? Ají verde,
Okay.
right? That sauce is literally thickened with lettuce because they just need something to give it body. So they literally just blend lettuce. And that's like a very common thing that like we typically wouldn't think of.
Sure.
Right outside that
texture and
context.
stuff.
I've just been using cabbage a lot. I will just
Kimchi,
dice
yeah.
cabbage super fine and like use that in the base of some sort of flavorful stew or whatever.
That sounds good.
And that just absorbs. It gives a different flavor. You're going to get more of that fartiness, but I enjoy a good farty food. You know, I'm a freak like that 7 days a week. And so dice up cabbage. Like you can use a lot of different vegetables for that aren't
Sure.
onions.
Yeah, flour alternatives to corn sounds like, and just really pay attention to those labels. That sucks. I'm sorry, but food is awesome, and there's so many different foods out there that will fill that void.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Maggie. My opinion is very
Shout
short.
out.
It is only 5 words, and those 5 words are so divisive that apparently I actually one time posted them on Facebook, and for some reason, Facebook took the post down for violating community violence standards.
What?
Still don't understand
What's
why.
about to come out
but
of his
those
mouth?
5 words are baking cookies makes them worse.
Oh.
There is no situation in which I'd rather have a cookie that has been baked and cooked through. I always want that raw cookie dough. Anyway, thanks so much for the pod. I love it. Love the show. This is Kevin from Virginia. And yeah, thanks. Bye.
Kevin
That's
from
so
Virginia.
Let Kevin cook
funny.
and let the cookies
Kevin
not cook.
Cook or lack thereof.
This guy is chaotic evil.
Yeah,
I love
and
him.
it's probably because Facebook was like, nope, that's a health violation.
Oh, yeah.
Don't talk about it.
That's true.
Salmonella is a myth. No, salmonella is actually the biggest foodborne disease in America, and I got in trouble for talking about
Bad
undercooked
Josh.
chicken.
Fair. Fair.
But also, they like speaking of technology and like modern foods, like there's so many like safe cookie dough,
Safe to eat cookie
treats
dough,
you can
sure.
get.
You can get pasteurized eggs if you want to still make it yourself.
I love cookie dough. I prefer cookie dough to regular cookie.
Okay, let's all come down. Let's all come down. All right, we're all on this like
Sorry.
big high talking about raw cookie dough.
I want
But
to
if there
eat
were
it all
no,
day.
you can only appreciate raw cookie dough for the fact that cooked cookies exist, right? It's a fun
Okay.
aberration from the vanilla lifestyle that you've been living by eating all these cooked cookies, right? If raw cookie dough was the norm, right? If everybody was out there, they're selling raw cookie dough in little balls at the 7-Eleven by the cash register, Subway was giving out little raw cookie dough balls, Kevin from Virginia would be calling going, hey guys, this is a crazy opinion that I have. I think that raw dough that we've been eating is better cooked, right? We only
But
love it as an aberration to
but
the
we are
original.
not in that universe in the multiverse. That is not what
But
we
what
are
he's
living
proposing
in right now.
the radicalism that he is proposing
This
is
isn't
that
everything everywhere all at once, and this universe where you have balls of cookie dough at the register 7-Eleven doesn't exist.
he
You're making
introduced
this up in your
hypothetical.
head.
He introduced hypothetical that is always better not cooked. No, it is only better not cooked because they are generally cooked.
Okay, he
He's
didn't have
creating a
space
false
to
sense of
write all
reality.
that. He said 5
He's
words.
creating false sense of reality.
It
And they
was
are
5
valid.
words.
Facebook was right to censor him.
My hot take is I think as a texture girly, I prefer cookies rather than cookie dough.
Yeah.
I
like
think,
cookies.
but
I
I
mean,
just when I hold cookie dough, I just want to like rub it in my face and on my hands and just and be a little baby.
Are
And-
you like a
and
person that just
rah-rah.
like squishing things through your hands?
I'm a texture girly.
Same. Is that something like wrong with our brains?
Yeah. Did you? I saw this
Wrong?
TikTok
I
the
don't
other
know.
day. This guy dyed his Rice Krispie treats gray so that he could pretend he was eating concrete.
I'm into that.
And it
Homeboy
looked
knows
awesome.
what's up.
He showed it. I was like, yeah, you did it.
I want to sandwich raw cookie dough between 2 cooked cookies.
You know what we used
Like
to
an
do
ice cream sandwich
at
with
my
raw cookie
old
dust.
at my old chocolate store?
Ma.
We used to take brownies and then we would wrap a brownie like cube in raw cookie dough and eat it.
Oh, you wouldn't sell it. That was just for you.
Y'all are so
That was
naughty.
just for me and Yvonne. Hi Yvonne, I hope you're listening.
That's cake.
My family is really weird. So me and my grandma enjoy Cheerios and butter. We just take a stick of butter and some Cheerios, and we take a butter knife and just smother some butter on Cheerios. I think it's good, but the rest of my family doesn't. But me and my grandma think it's really good. See what you guys think.
Who gave this
love
child
their relationship?
who gave this child access to a phone?
All happy families are like all unhappy families are unhappy in their own unique ways. Tolstoy said that.
Did
You
Tolstoy
call me a nerd
write
again?
Did Tolstoy write The Seagull?
What?
Did Tolstoy write The Seagull?
I don't think so. What's
Oh,
that?
well then this conversation is pointless.
Dude, I cannot fathom butter on Cheerios. That's so wild.
Well, they just need a vessel because they're out there trying to eat crunchy butter, and I respect that.
See, I can't get, I mean, maybe salted butter, but I can't get behind butter.
You're right. Salted butter and Cheerios makes total sense. Unsalted? Get out of here.
Well, yeah, because people do like, they'll put butter on crackers,
Yeah.
you know?
You're right.
So it's not that weird.
What is Cheerios but tiny little ring crackers?
Yeah.
I'm not as much of a butter guy as people would maybe think. I'm a mayonnaise guy. I'm trying to figure out more innovative ways to eat crunchy mayonnaise than I
that's a you
am
thing.
crunchy butter. And so I could see myself in the same vein. Hear me out. This is going to be gross. Tossing Cheerios with mayonnaise and eating it with a spoon.
Arrest this
That's
man.
cursed, but
Why?
I see it.
Right? Thank
Arrest
you.
this man.
Courtney is supportive.
But I just want to say I love that kid and their grandma's relationship.
You're
That
very
sounds
cute.
Very
lovely
cute.
and stick together. It's
Like
you guys
Cheerios
versus
and
the
butter.
world with your like Cheerios and butter.
Should we do one more? Do we have time for Maggie? Come on, one more.
Maggie,
Maggie,
please,
Maggie, please,
Maggie,
Mom.
please, Maggie, please. Maggie.
Come on, Maggie, can we
Let
do
her
one more?
cook. There we go.
Hey, I
Yeah.
just wanted to call to tell you guys about a meal that my dad would make when my mom wasn't home.
Yes, he's the
Which
best.
was it was called sausage fondue,
Yes.
and this was literally just tomato sauce heated up in a pan that we would dip sausage into.
Mm-hmm.
And this very very much aggravated my mom, who would cook us like exquisite meals, and my brother and I would shout about how we wanted sausage fondue. So, yeah.
Oh,
man.
that's so sweet. I love that. That's so funny. I love when it's like parents will go above and beyond to make these meals, but like sometimes it's the beauty and simplicity.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's a lot of gender dynamics at play here that I don't feel qualified enough to speak on. You know,
Same.
mom like working so hard to make healthy, balanced, delicious meals.
And the kids
dad,
going, we want tomato meat.
dad doesn't want to dirty more dishes, so he has the kids just dip sausages into a pot.
This was like a you know how like That's So Raven used to have like she could see the future?
Yeah.
This is like my future.
Oh, I love it.
David is gonna be a sausage fondue dad, and I'm gonna be exquisite meal mom. Well, that's fine. I think it's great.
I'm gonna be both. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Because like it's funny because Julia, I cook dinner for Julia almost every night, and she's
sweet.
also like out of town for work a lot. And so when she's out of town, I'm eating like whatever. There was a point where I just made a Philly roast pork sandwich from scratch like 6 nights in a row because I want to try and perfect the Philly roast pork sandwich, and I bought like 8 pounds of pork, so I just kept doing that.
my
But
God.
Julia is very much like every meal should be balanced. Like there should be a green vegetable, there should be a non-green vegetable, there should be a starch, there should be a protein. You know, and she's not like crazy about it, but like that's how she prefers to eat, and I like to be the one to sort of like nurture her for that. So I'm going to be the person where we're going to have kids, we're going to cook really healthy, delicious, balanced meals, and then she goes out of town, and then I'm going to flip to like the Dr. Jekyll, you know, the Mr. Hyde of it all. And it's going to be sausage fondue.
Oh my
Mike is
goodness.
coming
Cheesesteaks
over to
every
Uncle
night.
Josh's house.
I love it. I want to make sausage and peppers now.
I know it sounds so good. Actually,
But speaking of pork, I really, really miss that ramen sloppy joe you made for me.
Yeah.
That
was
one time. Can you? I want another one.
I'll do it again.
Okay.
We'll do it for your vlog.
Thanks.
Everyone follow Courtney. Where can people find you?
Oh my gosh, I'm at co_mill everywhere, and I have a YouTube channel, and also you can catch me on Smosh. We make lots of fun stuff on Smosh Pit and very silly games and live streams on Smosh Games. Thank you for that.
Even
Very
though
sweet.
nobody knows what Smosh is or how they got the name Courtney, that's really beautiful. And no, this is super fun. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Nicole, you have any closing words? Where can people
and
find
on
you?
that note, thank you for listening to A Hot Dog is a Sandwich. We got new audio-only episodes every Wednesday and a video version here on YouTube every Sunday.
And if you want to be featured on Opinions or like Casseroles, give us a ring and leave a quick message at 1-833-DOG-POD1. Have you ever called the number?
No, I'm going to
You should call the
now.
number. Yeah, leave an opinion.
Leave an opinion.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
we're proud of our voicemail
Yay.
message. That's probably it. That's probably
See you
probably
next
all we have
time.
to say about that.
Thanks for coming.
You know,
All right.
Um,
Yee yee.
keep on eating.